Vodafone presents the pre-match.
It is our Vodafone pre-match time, and it's our second series of the day. We're going to be looking at Cloud9 going up against Renegades, and I feel like we've done this a fair few times, Natu, now, especially when it comes down to Cloud9. It's a roster we're not fully sure what direction they want to go in. Skadoodle now leaving the team. We've got the Swedish guys in there of Golden and Flusher, who, when they do perform, Cloud9 looks better. When they're not performing, which, okay, it's acceptable not to perform all the time, there doesn't seem to be much else there, even from Rush and giving his best efforts like we saw the other day.
I think what was funny, actually, last time we watched Cloud9 was that Skadoodle was the team's best rifler. Yeah,
that was awkward because Automatics picked up the AWP and he's like, yep, okay, maybe I can take over this role. We alluded to it before as well. Why not just keep Automatic on what he's good at, give him the rifle, and potentially then bring Nifty in, for example, because he's sat in that horrible position on Envy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that ship has sailed for the time being, I suppose, you know. Yeah, summarizes pretty well. But no, I mean, obviously, I think Nifty would technically be a great upgrade for this team going forward. But unfortunately, I mean, the fact is that obviously the enemy is probably building around him, right? So that's out of the equation.
He's the golden boy for that team at the moment. I know.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the only.
We can dream, Natu. We can dream for a perfect C9 roster to come back in some way, some form.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, it's really hard to, like, start thinking of, like, who would Cloud9 pick up for this team, honestly. And would it be an Opper? I think it wouldn't be an Opper. I think, you know, they don't necessarily need to have such a dedicated Opper.
True.
Possibly. They could get away without it. And because there are players on that team that can definitely hybrid that weapon when need be. But overall, I mean, for the time being, it's I guess in a bit of a limbo situation for this team because obviously they're reconstructing.
Yeah.
They're losing a member in Skadoodle. They brought in a new in-game leader. They brought in Flusha in, who on his own right is definitely a great player who has had a tough time in the last year or so.
Very much so.
Yeah, compared to the previous times where he was literally being accused for cheating.
And this is the thing, right, about Flusher in particular, is he's had such a long career of being very damn good.
Yes.
That it's not even like he's playing terribly, like he's not bottom fragging every game, but it's just not the Flusher we know and love. It's not the Flusher of dominating performances so far.
No, I mean, he's a player that can both, on a CT side, he can just literally hold a bomb side by positioning well, and on the T side, he used to be and still can be a monster in mid-run situations just because he has he's very intelligent, has a great game sense, has a great feel for what the opponents are doing. This movement, yeah. I mean, he's an overall package that can be. It's just him finding himself again. I feel like he stagnated in Fnatic as the whole team did. They kind of lost their way, and I feel like he lost his way along with that. It only comes, that's natural, right? I mean, when a team is not really doing things correctly, that will resonate in the individuals within that team.
One of the things that really kind of bothered me about the whole Fnatic changes, right? We saw the whole Godsend Fnatic back and forth shuffle. That was just awkward and stupid.
Back there.
Yeah,
that's a horrible hole.
That was just awful, right? But then we see Golden comes on board to Fnatic lineup. Things start to get better. They actually win tournaments, and you're like, cool. Now we're seeing a good Fnatic again. And then just because they don't like him or whatever personal rubbish that was going on, it's like,
weird.
Let's just remove him. Funny enough, in other sports, lads, they do actually play with people they don't like, and it can work. Who would have guessed?
Listen, I've played with people. I mean, I'll give an example. I'm going to be honest here. Sunny used to be a very an obnoxious person to be around when he was younger.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily really enjoy playing with him.
Yeah.
But he was damn good at the game of Counter-Strike, so I endured that for a better part of 2.5 years because I knew that, you know, he would make the team better. So
sometimes you just have to deal with it, right?
It's the same with any social situation, be it work, school, or Counter-Strike. If it's your job, you're going to be having to deal with people that have different social backgrounds. They might not like the same things you do. They might be a little different as personalities. You just have to endure. That's like the key word.
You're getting paid a ridiculous amount of money to play a game, yeah? Don't waste that opportunity, because I know we're not talking about Fnatic, but just that whole sequence, it just makes you think of what if he did stay on there? Like, I even DM'd Golden, because we worked together on Gamers, I spoke to him, and he had no idea of what was going on. It wasn't until I spoke to Devil Walk where he was like, yeah, JW and those guys can kind of control what's going to happen here. If they don't like him, that might be the way it goes. That was a bad move, and now we're in this kind of crazy move where C9 are just in an awkward situation. But let's look at Renegades, right? Renegades are also going through a very interesting transition. Azza now being the in-game leader, Liaz and Gratisfaction getting that call-up time to step up and deliver on an international stage, not just in their home Australian soil, and well, Kiwi as well, if we're going to go in for Gratisfaction, the New Zealander. And I feel for Renegades at the moment, this is a good team they can build upon. I just want to know how deep we can get it to go with Azza being the in-game leader, and how this can kind of gel, because we spoke about Liaz. He's looked very strong. He's certainly learning. He's getting better game by game. It's Gratisfaction. We still have a few question marks around, right?
I think it's JKS, Azza, and JKM are known quantities. We know what we can get out of them. We know their delivery potential. It's Liaz and Gratisfaction that need to like prove us all that they can definitely have higher highs than basically their previous counterparts, right? Yeah. So that's the whole situation. Because the team of Renegades also, I mean, speaking of Fnatic stagnating, so did Renegades. They
Massively.
They obviously with even Kassad deciding at that point in time that this is enough. I
can't deal with this anymore.
I'm just gonna abandon this ship at this point in time. It's not moving forward. The team is, I mean, this is not 100%. I'm just speculating, but I can feel that he probably felt that the team was just not progressing. They were fighting with the same issues over and over and over and over again. They would go through the Asian minor, get into the major, but would never actually have deep runs. They had one tournament victory, that was Starladder in Shanghai, and that's it. That was one run. Even though it wasn't like it wasn't a tournament with a lot of top teams in contention, but still, win is a win. You always take whatever you can. You can only beat the teams you have in front of you.
Exactly.
But still, okay, win. So far, I feel like this Renegades lineup seems to be built around playing a lot of default Counter-Strike and then mid-round decisions, and basically the individuals and what kind of protocols they can build upon those 3-on-3s, 4-on-3s, 4-on-4 situations that always occur in the middle of a round will dictate how the round goes. Not so much pre-planned executions, but a much more like an open wide where the individuals are given a little bit of wiggle room to make a play. Yeah. It's not going to be a disaster if someone goes aggressive and maybe even dies in those situations. At least you try and create those openings, and that's a good thing. Still, obviously, you need to be able to, again, add some layers to it, and it's a question mark of whether or not, how does the communication in this team work? Because for that kind of a game style to work, you need to have a seamless communication.
Of course.
That's just component number one. And then do Liaz and Gratisfaction, especially as an opera, Gratisfaction needs to have good communication. That's something that goes unnoticed sometimes, because an opera needs to be super vocal about how does he feel, what does he want to make, what kind of play does he want to make, especially if you play a dynamic way where it's not so much about set plays, but it's about having that open kind of a game style. Then it's that opera to make the call if he feels like to take a peek, if he has a good spawn, or what does he want to utilize it with. So those are the kind of questions that we'll get answers as we go longer and we get interviews with these players and we get more sample size of seeing matches from the team. But it's definitely not a lost cause by any means. I feel like, out of the new lineups we've seen in the NA side of things, I feel like Renegades is probably the best one, actually. I mean, well, what do you have to compare to? Envy.
That's definitely not a good comparison. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole at all.
Don't want to go, exactly. That rabbit hole is not necessarily beautiful.
It's not really open either. It's pretty much closed and dead, buried.
That's maybe going a little bit too far, but I'll take that. All right. Anyway, I mean, it's still, things are looking okay for Renegades, and I feel like in this kind of matchup, I'd say they could very well take this 2-0. But I can as well see a world where this goes 1-1. This can actually go like any way. But I feel like
not an easy one to predict.
In the big picture, Renegades has seemed like the more rounded team than Cloud9, just because of the caveats that surround this Cloud9 team. Yeah. With the evident change that will happen, and meaning that this 5-man lineup for the team is not going to use like an insane amount of time in reinventing things, trying to come up with new ways to play. Obviously, they will tweak things here and there, obvious. But, you're not going to expect them to be doing like a massive overhaul of how they approach the game. It's going to be pretty similar to what we've seen so far.
So now looking at some of the results we've seen from these lineups, you definitely say Renegades are looking better on Inferno. It's a map they're more comfortable on. They started off really oddly on it when they started to see this new roster play at Star Ladder. They lost out to Cyberzen, and I believe the other team was Optic. I think that was during Star Ladder as well.
Yeah.
Then they come into it and they get a little bit further. They start to do better. They even just took down Team Liquid 16-14 on it as well. So not a bad showing. They're starting to get better. When you look at the other side of things for Cloud9, you can't even look at their results and try and make sense of it, because it's like one day we win, one day we lose, and there's no consistency anywhere with it. Much of how Cloud9 are playing at the moment.
Cloud9 has changed a lot of things, and they've tried a lot of things. We've seen through the Pro League already how they've changed positioning. With Automatic, used to be the B player for Cloud9. He was moved over on both sides actually, and then they kind of went back to Automatic being B for a while. Then they changed it back, as we've seen them a few times to play. So yes, they are testing those kind of little niche details that they're trying to change. But yeah, no, this definitely is an interesting one in the sense that I think Renegades, in a lot of best of one situations, they go for Inferno. They've gone for Inferno. In a lot of, I've seen them play Inferno a gazillion times. It feels like in the last 3 years, actually, so that they're super comfortable on the map, in theory. But then obviously they're playing with a new lineup, so that's, you can't really compare it to what happened before. The same with Cloud9. I mean, they used to love Inferno a lot. I mean, they clinched a major on this map, so, what's not to love? But that's a very, very different Cloud9 than the one that we're speaking of right now.
So for me, I think from what we're all saying here, it's the kind of Renegades certainly have the advantage. They have the lead on it. They just look better prepared as a team. But depending on what Cloud9 we see will kind of show us what we expect from this entire series. And the main people I'm going to look at here is just Rush. He's been consistent. I've been enjoying him being able to hold his own. He does well. Automatic at times, obviously he's now using the AWP more than Skadoodle. We've seen some moments where yes, he can shine, but obviously it's still something new for him to play in terms of just positions and the role of it all. But then you've got Flusher, who just, again, we want to see that more from him. If he has great games, funny enough, Cloud9 win. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, if you look at the last few matches of Cloud9, they've been able to sneak a win against Team Liquid.
Yep.
That's always a full lineup. No caveats there.
None of the Zeus in there into play.
They've been able to win a map against MIBR. That's a big one right there. So, I mean, those are positive signs. They can play against the big dogs. They can obviously play. But the consistency is not going to be there, I don't feel like, until they actually have that 5-man lineup figured out.
Yeah, because they're sat in this position where it's like, well, where do we go from here? Who are we going to get? We're not fully sure just yet. It's a whole learning stage for them. And as an in-game leader for Golden, how do you even try and manage these pieces not knowing what you're going to get just yet?
No, yeah, I mean, you just got to work with what you have, basically, right? I mean, it's the good thing is that he's used to playing with a lineup of Fnatic who are known for liking to play an open-ended way of Counter-Strike.
True.
You don't set a lot of parameters on the way that Fnatic plays. It's a lot about, how do I feel today? Yes. So I guess, he's gone through that school with Fnatic before. So in that sense, you'd think that he's well prepared for this type of a situation. And obviously, I mean, you could tell at the time that when he played for Fnatic, he even managed to actually mold that team quite a bit. Eventually, they managed to scrape through was WESG win at last spring. So I mean, that's definitely something that they've done well, and he's a leader that can definitely work with the pieces that he's given.
Well, while we wait for these players to get themselves ready, we're going to give you a bit more of an informative look at the Scout in one of our Armory videos that I know you guys love.
This Austrian-produced 5.5 kilogram rifle has seen its use all over the world, and in CSGO, it's no rare sight either. Let's open up the armory and take a closer look. Reliability, accuracy, and high damage output are the main characteristics of this weapon, and when you're strapped for cash but need to hit your targets at long range, you won't find a better rifle suited for that purpose. With 10 shots in the magazine and the second highest damage output in the game, this rifle seems to be fantastic on paper. But the fact of the matter is, it's also boasting the lowest damage per second rating in the game, making the SSG-08 a very circumstantial weapon. Fun fact, it's called the Scout because that's what it was called in the early versions of Counter-Strike. The SSG-08, or the Scout, is a very cheap gun. It only costs $1,700. It does 88 damage and has 85% armor penetration. That makes it a great choice in eco rounds, where your pistol-wielding teammates will thank the SSG-08's ability to damage enemies. The pros of CSGO often use the Scout to tag opponents with 74 damage to the chest, making it easy for the pistol.
Goodbye, Scout.
All right, hello, welcome back to the stream. Of course, thanks to James and R2 on the desk for breaking everything down. And now it seems like we're pretty close to getting this started. Of course, my name is Risk. Alongside me is the man, the myth, the legend, Tom Biz himself. And we're going to cast them all legends as Cloud9 has hit the server and they're up against Renegades.
I like that. We decided to scout out the map a little bit just before we started. And yeah, but obviously the game is about to go live, so we don't want to miss anything, right? No. Although I'm sure some of you are very excited for the video, I'm pretty certain it will come out again a little bit later. Yeah. And I don't want to miss any of the action, so we will be going straight into this one. I think it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I think something else to highlight is definitely the coaches of these two teams. I think there's a sort of a lot of stock placed in them. I think Kassar coming back to Renegades is definitely a good sign. I do question one of two things, is whether or not he, like, the fact that they made changes is now enough for him to come back, or whether or not he just went, oh wow, this Valiant side hasn't gone too well. I think I'll just drop back into Renegades, the cush little job, and just carry on there instead. It's one of the two.
It's a good question.
I hope it's the first, and he's just like, okay, I now see the potential. I see them making moves. I want to come back and try and mold that. At the same time, I think it was an interesting thing that Sponge said, where it was like he kind of wished they waited like a month or two to allow Azza an actual chance to in-game lead, because obviously Kassad is very much going to mold the way he in-game leads, which may not necessarily play into a style that he necessarily had originally. So instead, it's sort of like you have Kassad as your coach and then Kassad 2 in the server. And it kind of, if he's going to be doing the same sort of in-game leading style that Kassad wants, then what can Kassad really say when he chimes in as a coach?
That's a good question. And it's one of those like subjects that are very interesting in Counter-Strike that's really hard to get an answer about, because coaches are not really usually the main focus for interviews, and they're not really interviewed a lot about how this like communication and how the strategy and how everything works. I know in some of the teams that I talk to, obviously the Danish guys, like the teams, the coaches actually have a lot of like power in how they control the lineups. And for example, in Astralis, like Sonic can bench players if he feels like they're not like performing up to stuff, and he can decide like how.
You don't mean put them on the bench, you mean he gets a bench.
Yeah,
and just,
he
like,
literally
beats them with it.
He's very strong. But now time for another strong play. It's going to be Rush sitting in the pit as he picks up one, automatic with another one.
Yeah, fantastic start from the CT side. They're just cleaning up this pistol round. It is said that they can pretty much beat any team on their day. It's a little bit of a spicy battle. It's not going to be the knife. It's Azza to actually steal the kill away from his teammate. Jacob is robbed of a chance to slash, but it is still going to be a problematic scenario now. Lots of positions held. The bomb looking to be planted. Now, obviously, a bomb plant nowadays so much more valuable. It gives you that extra chance. And Azza is just going absolutely ham at the moment, finding his third kill of the round. Jacob trying to do the work from the pit, but it's Golden instead to trade things back. Azza, he needs to ace this. He needs to try and hold down the fort all alone. The peak comes in, and he's not going to get anything done. It's the IGL Golden who is going to be there to close this one out, and even gets himself the cheeky defusal as well. It is going to be 1-0, and I think, in all honesty, like I've met Golden a couple of times. Absolutely lovely. Yeah. So I don't know how anybody couldn't like him. I'm questioning that from the get-go. Maybe just I always thought with Fnatic it might be more of a respect issue. Because I think if you have players who've literally won majors and then someone comes up from your academy and goes, right, this is my house. You're going to have questions there.
And it's been a problem in many of these scenes, as we call them. Not only the one that I'm from, but other ones, where you'll have this kind of like an old boys club where the players who've been around for a long time won't really accept new players coming into the fold, and you'll have to do extreme stuff, like be extremely talented, have like 2-3 lands in a row where you play really well to kind of be allowed into this. And that creates a scenario where young players have a hard time coming into the game, but flushing out, shutting them all down. He is part of this old boys club, or maybe even departed it. As he departed Fnatic, but he's still on fire.
Yeah, I like the fact that he has sort of gone into this team, because it sort of showed to me that, again, there's sort of one of two scenarios, that either he was not one of the players who wanted to get rid of Golden and joining this, well, okay, I'll say 3 scenarios. 1, money. 2, moving quickly on from that, is that he actually didn't want to kick him originally, or it's sort of like the Sticko situation where they went, okay, yeah, we can do better. And then when he left, he went, actually, he was pretty good at his job. I'm going to go back and join him. Now, I hope it's that option and not money or like, well, either of the others. But at the same time, it doesn't matter now. He's over in Cloud9. Now, double bomb plant. So plenty of money in for the Renegades side. They've got lots of utility. Azar even able to buy right back up with an AK, which was purchased into the last round just to try and do some damage. However, the one thing that they are lacking a little bit is some utility, and all of that is being expended over towards Banana at the moment. Nades going in, not actually doing as much damage as you might expect when you see the trajectory of those nades. But look at the 3 players still over towards Banana. Now, we've seen Skadoodle rifling a little bit more. Obviously, the man who recently retired. He's back with a vengeance just for now until they find their new ringer.
Oh, nice from Golden though, taking that angle. Jake will answer back the Norwegian. Well, you could almost say ringer as well. Rings true as his Swedish counterpart is taken out. Cloud9 as an organization has had a hell of a year as well. Not only with their recent results in League of Legends, but also their Overwatch franchise. Still on Spitfire. So now they just need the CS team to step up to that former glory of that last major championship that they won. And it'll be the full trifecta for the light blue guys of Cloud9.
Yeah. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I'll happily be proved wrong. Flusher in the back of the site. Not an easy man to isolate. Someone's so good with his positioning. He's looking to try and do it all on his own, but the bomb's gone. Running away from the troubles in his life. Gratisfaction is being chased. He actually tries to use the Molotov to hold him off, and actually will catch the bomb. 20 seconds left. He's now going to go on the wraparound back towards the A site, and it is JKS. He's worried about being chased, but he doesn't realize that it's actually coming from the other angle. And just look at the position he's gone for the bomb plant in. I don't think he's going to be expecting this. Now, he is going to double back in towards the pit. The question is, he's not expecting it at all. Flusher is a madman, a genius, and a legend in his own right. And he has just played JKS like a fool.
Just Flusher things. Like,
what do you mean? There wasn't a smoke down?
That is still pretty Flusher to win. What was that, like basically a 1v4 in the end? He's just so damn good.
But that is the thing. It's like, for Cloud9, it's like the team they currently have is really weird. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like you've got so many players that if they hit anywhere near their peak, like there was the sort of good run that like Golden was given a lot of credit, but I also think that it just happened that Flusher came into form around that time. Now, maybe that is because of Golden's style of in-game leading, and I hope it is. But the way that Flusher seemed to play over those few, like, couple of tournaments we saw them win, I think it was back-to-back? They won WSG, but then they won something else, which was a little bit more impressive. I can't remember what it was, but...
it was actually an ESL event. I just don't remember which one.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It was an IEM or ESL 1, I don't actually remember. It was one of the big 250k ones.
Exactly. So it's like, they went with back-to-back tournaments, but Flusher was playing incredibly well alongside Crims. And there was like the clutches on train that he was pulling off, which were hugely impressive. So if they can get him back to that sort of level...
Yeah, I think it was Katowice this spring. Yeah, I think that's it.
But either way, if they can get him back into form, that purchase definitely wouldn't be...
Oh, for sure. And also, to be honest, like... Oh, as we see, Automatic getting picked out there by Asa. Flusher now has to hold this bomb side together with his teammate in pit. Pressure's mounting. Rush is taking the duel. He's winning it. Flusher is winning one, but that's just a one-for-one trade. And JKS will be coming in with a frag as well. And now Skadoodle and Golden to retake it. And the silence killer... Skadoodle. What can he make happen here? Smoke in mid. Elias is playing the boiler position, but there's a gap in the left side of that. If Skadoodle wants to take that position, but it's going to be a retake from apartments. Finds one. That's boiler down. Now Golden pushing in towards the side. Skadoodle shut down, and now Golden has to win it all on his own. 1v2. Pushing in and doing heaps of damage, but eventually evaporating as JKS picks up the triple.
Yeah, and this is an important round because CT side, those rounds have been so close. Obviously, Flusher just able to clutch out the 1v4 in the last. It means that there is absolutely no money for Cloud9. So this is pretty much a position where they can force and not really have too much and attempt to try and win it back. But ultimately, if they lose this round, it is going to be equalization at a minimum for Renegades.
Back and forth it goes. Molotov messed up for Lias. That's unfortunate.
Bounced off the corner of the wall. That is just bad luck.
We talked about just Flusher things. That's definitely just CSGO things. Just hitting an invisible corner.
I'm just glad that we've sort of gone past the days of like the bomb disappearing into the floor. Like that was probably the biggest meme ever.
I've had that happen a bunch of times.
I think it was funny though. There was like a clip on Reddit the other day of somebody dropping a weapon to a teammate on Dust 2 on a short, and it just falling into the wall. So it's not completely gone, but hey, if the game was perfect, well, what would change? Like you need adaptation in Counter-Strike. Like I loved the week where the R8 was just a one-hit kill through 3 people weapon.
I did not play that week.
I did. There was no. It was great because nobody bought an AWP anymore. They're just like, why would I buy an AWP? R8, much better. It was a fun day for me, at least. Competitive Counter-Strike was a mess, but at least I had fun.
Eagle in the hand of Golden, doing good damage. Close to a secondary one, but won't hit the shot, and now the push comes in. But when push comes to shove, 2 players are on that B-bomb site. If they want to go there.
There's only 30 seconds left as well. So.
Yeah, they have to decide now. It's going to be the fake B. Yeah, and then they hit towards A. It's a 2-2 split for Cloud9 anyway, so it's definitely doable with this low amount of time.
Automatic on towards the site. He actually starts to rotate away slightly, but will be back in position. He's got his teammate baiting away. There's only 10 seconds left. He's dropped the bomb. This may just be enough. They know that they have to go for it here. Trying to clear things out. Goes for the knife, and I don't think they have enough time. It doesn't matter. Jacob just has to hide in the corner, and Automatic's done enough. The pistol has done the job, and while they do not want to die after the clock, Cloud9 win one out of absolutely nothing. And the fact is, their economy's still screwed. Yeah. But so are their opponents. This will be one of the worst buy rounds I think you can possibly see in Counter-Strike.
Oh, for sure. What a play as well, like the perfect bait setup, the Deagle play and pitch is spamming away, that allows Automatic to take the stall. The secondary one, Gratisfactions know he's there, but doesn't matter. CSET 75 close range still reigns supreme.
Yeah, that is a big mistake for Renegades, and now they're sort of left in a horrible position. Now, if they can win this round, send Cloud9 back to Eco, then sure, this will be absolutely fine. We can just sort of breeze past it like it was a long forgotten mistake, and they'll go right back to trying to win those anti-Eco rounds. Fact is, they lose this next round. They have put themselves right into the hole early on. And the thing is as well, with players like Flusher having such an excellent start to this game, that's where this team really gets scary, because well, it was talked about on the desk. It can go either way. It can be a 1-1. It could be a 2-0 to either side. You don't want to allow Flusher or anyone of the sort to get off to a strong start. Like, the fact is, Automatic at his best is still one of the scariest players in the whole of North America. So you don't want anything of the sort. Either way, though, Skadoodle, he's going to meet his doom very early on in this round.
Wanted to take map control towards Banana, but got shut down by the defensive setup of 3 players. Or 2 players in the beginning and then 1 rotator. Rotation has come in, and once again, Cloud9 are playing a 2-2 defensive setup. I think if CT smoke lands, a rotation will come in, and we're going to see that rotation now come in from Flusher. Nice little peek out by Golden, 1-for-1 trade, and gets information as well. Are they going to go for this? There's still 55 seconds. They can easily rotate back and leave Gratisfaction here to hold for an aggressive push to check out. Banana's clear. And then execute onto the A-bomb site. 2 smokes and 3 smokes actually. Molotov and flashbang left for Renegades. So this is definitely, and here comes the push. They've rotated back to Banana. Maybe they can try and isolate. Automatic here. Picks up the first one. The bomb is now down. What a frag from Gratisfaction. Turns around 180 onto the body of his opposition, and now Flusher. Mac 10 in hand. Pressured from every angle. How's he going to play this? waiting for his teammate.
Oh, I think he's just been wrecked by timing, but actually, no, JKS isn't able to capitalize on the kill, and this turns it back into a 2 versus 2. Rush almost catches Gratisfaction with his pants down. If he can find this frag, well, his opponent will be incredibly low. Gratisfaction not really needing to take the peek in this scenario. Could just look to fall back in towards the corner. He knows that Rush needs to peek, and exactly what he does, just holds the more passive angle. Liaz is just going to sit in the corner, and unfortunately Rush does not have any utility, so this is not the ideal spot for him to be in. Knows where one of the players is, but Liaz will eventually peek out. The new boys on the block, able to win Renegades around. And again, economy absolutely wrecked for Cloud9. As said, that sort of mistake made by Renegades can now be forgotten if they can just transfer this round into a victory.
But once again, with 1,500, 1,400, 1,500, they're probably going to go for the force buy, and they are. So, again, we sit in a scenario as we did 2 rounds ago where, well, Cloud9 are force buying, but if they can turn it around and take a round, the economy is still going to be wrecked for Renegades. We're still going to have at least 3 players who kind of buy in the next one if they lose. So, everything's still on the line. We know how strong pistols can be, especially on that CT side. Close range pistols. Very dangerous. Clears up Banana. That's the name of the game for the T side, and looks like they're going to move in here. Good nade set up onto Golden. Counter smoke coming in. There's gap in the left side, but they're not going to gain anything from that. Golden might actually get an opportunity, since they're going to stack the opposite. Skadoodle, you can see, just wants to go for it.
Temptation definitely there. Another smoke going to be thrown down just to buy a little bit more time on the clock, trying to bait this T side into a rotation towards A. The majority of the players there for the CT side, Cloud9, will be waiting patiently. Now, this has been the problem I've seen so far from Renegades, is they seem to be fairly indecisive with a lot of their plays. Obviously, this could be down to new in-game leader. And Skadoodle, well, him being caught off could force them back into a change towards this side. I think this should be the more dominant of the rounds. Nice shot from Golden, though. Actually manages to fade back in, tries to go for a little bit more of a happy style Deagle play, and it does not work out. There's no happiness over on Cloud9 at the moment. The Molotov will actually stop them planting in a more default position, but I don't think Renegades are really going to care. And Flusher completely out of the action. It is left all onto automatic.
And also, this is going to be the full eco next round, so might as well save the weapons and the armor, so they have a bit of a better chance of holding down the economy of Renegades in that next one. Automatic right now, just going to check if anyone walks past him, if you can snatch an AK away, but Renegades, smartly enough, rotating out of the bomb side the way they came, the way that's clear.
We're going to go hunting. Not going to find anything. Just will look to save onto that CZ, and well, Flush is already doing exactly the same on the other side of the map, so we will have this sort of break back from Renegades. It took an extra round to do it, of course. We expected this to come a little bit sooner, but in all honesty, like, it's one of those scenarios where you go, well, obviously I'm not saying they should lose a round, but if they do, it delays the chance for Cloud9 to actually buy back up and really build into this CT side. And that's the thing with the T side. Although, as said, it's not something you would ever suggest. If you can keep the economy low by constantly resetting Cloud9, there's a much higher chance you're going to pull in a large amount of rounds on the T side. Because one of the, well, if anything, I would say this map is probably one of the most utility-heavy maps in the game, if not the, just based on that banana control.
It's so important. Also, we see a lot of lower tier teams like wasting almost all of their utility in the first 30 seconds, and a push will come in the first 30 seconds as Jacob picks up one. They know they're against pistol, so they know they can just walk in. And they're doing exactly that. Nade counter from Lias, but yeah, I don't see any way USP 5-7 and Desert Eagle are going to have anything to say here. Armor will be saved from Flusher and Automatic. Rush will do whatever he wants. Actually have a double setup here. Try to go for a cheeky kill or two. But now Automatic, is he going to peek into it? Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'm a bit intrigued by this, actually, because although they do have like a little bit of loss bonus, it's not anything to really write home about. And
you can also see Renegades are very keen on punishing this, like very keen on taking this player out.
Really?
Even though it's such a small advantage, such a small difference, like having kit and body armor.
It's still something as well. I think it's much more valuable for the CT side than anything. Just allowing him to have a rifle and extra utility, especially when you consider, like, you actually look at the purchases coming in for Cloud9. It's pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
Like, and this is not a map where you can really afford that. Okay, you've had a few hero plays along the way, and like you talk about Flusher actually dropping down to a UMP. Like, if he'd just saved his armor for the next round, he could have had the rifle and all of it. Now, obviously, hindsight, a powerful thing. If he could have got a kill and stolen away an AK-47, he'd be in an even better position. But obviously, that didn't happen, and the safer route now seems to be the better one.
AWP and Gratisfaction as well. On that T side. We talked about it in the previous game today. Always hard to kind of work around that T side orb. It's a very tricky mistress. That T side orb. Rush in pit. Teammate on the bomb side. That's going to be Flusher, but Rush doing plenty of damage. Gratisfaction finally shutting him down, and Asa now in good position. Will he take the double as well? It's in prime position for it. Asa doubles up, and Golden now 1v3.
I think he needs a very quick kill to have any way of getting back into this. Now, there's a couple of low players, but well, he should be dead the second he rounds his corner. Actually, a missed shot from Gratisfaction gives an opening back in. He gets a double. Now, JKS is quick with the trade, but that got a little bit dicey for a second for Renegades. Cloud9, 5-4. To be honest, although it's not like the nicest thing, I think that they need to find this fifth player quick. I don't want to see Skadoodle go more like less than anyone else. It's not someone I'm thinking, yeah, I just want to get rid of him. No, of course not. But if he's not dedicated to playing with the team, like he wants to be streaming, whatever, yada, 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 they need to find that person who is passionate, who wants to be pushing forward, who wants to be building the team, even just trialing someone. Because some of the plays he's been making throughout this match have been questionable, to say the least. Like, they look like they're putting him in more aggressive plays, like him trying to push down Banana, which I don't really feel like is his style at all. Like, even when he AWPs, he's always been a fairly passive AWPer. Yep. So it's almost peculiar to watch, and I don't know how, like, for example, if they're scrimming or training together, I can't imagine someone who's retired is going to be like, yeah, guys, I'll show up to practice every day. Maybe he is. Yeah, maybe he's that sort of guy. But at the same time, I feel like if you do have someone like that, you're always going to have that question mark on the team. Automatic Flusher. Managing to find a couple of kills along the way. Making things a bit more costly for the T side, who've now started to string some rounds together. Rush going to be looking to sneak through the smoke, but Gratisfaction is waiting patiently and even doubles up with Skadoodle as well.
Also, one of the arguments for this whole thing with Skadoodle still on the team, even though he's officially retired, is the fact that, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. When you play in Pro League, you're registered with a team, and you can't switch players within Pro League. So if they wanted a different player than Skadoodle, they had to go down to a significantly lower level of player that they wanted to get in for a season. That was the reason why Astralis 4 seasons played with the young on Notan.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't pick up anyone else. Like any other good player in like the world was pretty much signed already up into an ESA or ESL Pro League system, which also means I'm pretty sure they can't pick from Mountain Dew League either. So it kind of creates a scenario where it's very hard to find a different player until the season is over and they can change players, which is a problem because Counter-Strike doesn't have actual transfer periods, but leagues like Pro League try to enforce that, which I think is great. But Cloud9 now in a pickle of a situation.
Ooh, hello, Golden. Not renowned for his AWPing, but he is going to pick one up here and find himself a double and another through the smoke as well. 3 quick kills for the IGL, and he's put them in a strong position on this B site. Skadoodle fell
Come on, Golden.
Nothing more. He's going to try to go for a little bit more through the smoke, but nothing to be had just yet. They're in a very strong retake position. The only detriment is the fact that they do have 2 AWPs, and actually Gratisfaction, I don't know how he won that battle. Maybe Golden sleeping a little bit with his finger not on the trigger. It's him and JKS to try and bring this back. I wouldn't mind this duo in most situations. In fact, JKS is normally the heavy hitter for the team, and the AWPer definitely going to be looking to make a play, and he finds a second as well, back into a 2 versus 2. There's not a round that should be lost, and JKS adds both remaining kills from a 4v2 to a 2v0. Renegades, I have no idea how they held on to that.
spun it around. Golden even tried very valiantly with this 3K. That one straight through the smoke, but doesn't matter when JKS and Gratisfaction, they step up to that plate. 7-4 on the T side of Inferno. This is looking very promising for the Renegades.
See, the thing is now, do you almost sort of look at Cloud9 and go, okay, just make sure you keep your spot. And that's all that really matters. Because obviously for the majority of the players, they still want to be going to the event.
Yeah.
That's obviously a big deal for some of them, but I don't think Skadoodle's particularly going to care. And at the same time, it's like, do you really, like, even if you go to the event, it's sort of more like a final hurrah more than anything. It's not like you're going to this, and then this roster can go on to bigger and better things. It's like, and we go to this, and then Skadoodle leaves, and we replace him with somebody else.
But sometimes that can also help. Like, if you know this is the last event you'll have, and, like, it's done after that, that can either give you a good feel or release some pressure, maybe. Ooh. But Golden Steagle is on fire. Not enough, though.
Yeah. I like the little smoke setup there, just completely isolating off the pit, allowing the T side to round onto the site. At this point, though, it is looking like the Renegades show. I believe we were sat at 4-1 in the scoreboard early on, and since then, it has been the Renegade show.
Yeah, Renegades also at the top spot, or at least the more upper spot than Cloud9 in the rankings. They're currently 3, if I'm not mistaken. Cloud9 sitting at 7th. And for NA Pro League, you need to be in top 6 to qualify for the LAN. So Cloud9 need this win. Renegades, they could just solidify the position in this top 3 together with MIBR and Ghost. Liquid just behind them.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. Like this very new team for Renegades, and they've been doing very well in Pro League. Rush, only able to trade. They haven't gone for anything ridiculously complicated, but these sort of basic fast pushes on towards the site. Alongside, at the beginning, they were going for much slower rounds, but they've seemed to just try to pick up the pace over the last few, obviously being caught out by the clock in the early rounds, and now left in a retake once again. Not much utility for the CT side. An Incendiary for Golden. Skadoodle with the rest of the utility. Automatic rounding the corner, and Gratisfaction excellent in these after plant positions. Golden once again will find a way back into the side, but it seems to be too little, too late. The clock is ticking, and he just has to run through the smoke, and it doesn't even matter. Azza executing him in the end. It will be 9-4. Renegades running away with this first half.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's been how many seasons in a row that Cloud9 have made it to LAN finals in Pro League? It's been like a while since they crashed out and didn't qualify for LAN. I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think they've been to every single LAN finals.
You are not asking the right person.
Since it became Pro League. I'm going to go on the lookout for that. But
if
for now,
Risk is wrong, please tweet at him and tell him he is wrong. Or tweet at me and just say Risk is wrong.
Well, that's a very broad statement, which I think is true most of the time. But
especially
for now,
when it comes to maths
for
and
now, let's
observations.
focus on this one. not just
fun.
maths and then in general.
Or tweet at James Banks and just say Risk is wrong. Or just say nice chest. Either one.
Hello, machine.
That works too. Pistols once again for Cloud9 as we have, well, 4-buy and plenty of cash for Renegades. Automatic, just waiting on the angle, but Jacob's going to clear it. He will lose his head, but the fact is it's only a trade, and still the CT side are left at a detriment.
Actually, I'm wrong. So, I'm going to take that back.
Oh.
They didn't even call... Oh, that's...
There you go. You should have tweeted at me saying Risk is wrong.
Actually, I'm going to dive in deeper.
Also, James has just said to me, I wish I had a chest that nice. And that is not true. Either way, we are going to have the T's looking to execute it. Nice shot from Rush. He's looking to try and turn this as he's brought it back into a 2 versus 2, juggling the rifle into the hands of the Swede. The smoke criminal going to be looking to try and find something, although unfortunately the smoke has faded, which obviously weakens his powers, but they put another one down, and Flusher will find the kill straight through it. He's left into the 1 versus 1. Azza on the other side of things. There isn't a kit for Flusher, so he may just have to go sneaking through the smoke. Azza, is he going to be waiting for this man on the other side? Flusher letting that bomb tick fairly low now. He doesn't have a kit, bear in mind. He's looking to clear all the remaining angles. Azza just waiting around the corner, taps the bomb, but executes him anyway. Azza wins the battle, and Renegades looking to win that war as well. 10-4 up at the moment. Skadoodle has 1 kill. 1!
Well, Automatic has 5. I think that's even more.
That's 5 times better than 1.
Yeah, but still. Also, to focus back on the Pro League and actually qualifying for LAN, it seems like Cloud9 have a problem with, or maybe a bit afraid of Odense, or Odense, as we would say, if the pronunciation has to be correct, because
you're Danish, so yes, it does have to be correct.
They didn't qualify for Pro League was the season, not the last season, but the season before that, where the LAN finals was in Sparkassen Fyn Arena, which is the same place as it is for this season.
Ah, yes, I knew that. I can actually pronounce that perfectly. I just don't want to embarrass you.
Yeah, that's a tough name.
I feel like that's one where if you say that wrong, you can say something just bad. I don't know what it would be, but I just feel like there's a way that that would turn into something bad.
Well, anything can turn bad. That's life, Tom.
Okay.
Anything can turn really good as well. You never know. Life is a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
All right, Forrest Gump.
Lias turns away from the banana as his teammates are setting up towards a mid-push. Only 1 player on this A bomb site right now. That's Automatic with the 8 OAP. We talked about this earlier in the cast. His ult prowess. It's definitely shown in the last couple of weeks. He can pick it up definitely and be deadly. This one is Skadoodle's. See if he has some magic left. And the old boomstick.
Yeah, I need to spam that noodle to help out Skadoodle. I don't know what could rhyme with Automatic that you could spam. But
Post
if
that
you know,
schematic to help Automatic.
Okay, sure, why not? If you just have a schematic emoji. Either way, it's whatever you spammed, it didn't work because he's dead and Azza's taken down Golden as well. It's down to the noodle to try and bring this one back, and Liaz quickly puts him down. It's 11-4 Renegades. Did they win 10 rounds in a row?
I'm pretty sure it's almost either 9 or 10. I'm not exactly sure.
It was 4-1, but either way, many
very
rounds
impressive.
it was
Very
in
impressive.
a row. It's somewhat ridiculous. And Cloud9, they had. It's not like they didn't have opportunities. There were 1v1s in there.
Plenty of close rounds.
There was the 2v4 that they should have won. It really hasn't been like a position where you go, okay, yeah, no, it was just absolute dominance. They had chances. They just never really took any of them. And, yeah, props to Renegades from coming out of positions that were pretty damn horrible to actually bring this back to 11-4.
And
That's
to be
one
honest,
hell of a half.
Flusher has been playing okay. We see that 93 ADR, Golden on 85 ADR, Russia on 82 ADR, and then Automatic and Skadoodle on respectively 54 and 48, which is definitely not what you want to see. JKS on 57 is also a bit of a surprise because he's usually one of the top hitters.
Thing is,
when you're in lead 11-4, it doesn't really matter.
But yeah, it's another one of those scorelines where you're like, somebody has to be at the bottom.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah,
You're
did.
right.
They won
10 rounds in a row.
10 rounds in a row. Well, the odds firmly in the favor of Renegades. They have been pretty damn good in this Pro League so far, and well, they're looking to try and peek into middle. It's going to be Jacob waiting. Now, the problem is they're going to get absolutely surrounded here. They need to defend this midpoint. They need to take the fights, which is not something you really want to be doing, and Automatic has sort of had enough. They're going to go peeking. I don't know how Liaz is still alive. He just sat in the bottom mid. He's chilling. The A site has fallen into the hands of the T's, and well, Azza doesn't expect them to be that far forward, so it will fall into the 2v2. Flusher and Scar left to try and bring this one back. Now, they don't have a kit on the CT side. It's a long rotation coming around from Liaz, but he only has 7 HP, and Flusher is waiting for him in the library, book in hand. One man actually just going to be sat on the bomb as well, which not the most expected position. Liaz may have an idea. There is a player around this angle, but he's not going to be checking for it, and it will be a very simple kill. Not really sure how that was a headshot, but moving on. It is going to be 11-5. Cloud9 in with a chance, but that does mean now both pistols have gone their way.
Yeah.
Scoreline doesn't really reflect that at all.
Definitely not. It's also always such a nice feeling if you win a best of one in relatively convincing fashion. but you lose both pistols, then you kind of show that in the important rounds, in the buy rounds, in the rounds that shape the game, you are the dominant force. Let's be real, pistol rounds in Counter-Strike are still the most random thing in a top-level game.
Just buy 5 R8s. That's how you do it. It's never been done, so you can't tell me that it doesn't work. I don't think
that's allowed, Tom.
You've got no evidence to say that it doesn't work, so you can't prove me wrong.
Deep nade trade can always be proven right.
We've actually got quite a heavy investment here from the CT side, considering that we've been seeing a lot more teams just eco for the
they're not following the model. They're just saying
breaking the meta.
We don't like it.
The thing is, though, I actually don't mind this because it means that going into the next couple of saves, you will have a proper buy, like a big bolster buy. You still only give away the same amount of rounds you used to give away, and you also have a pretty good chance in this round to actually do a hell of a lot of damage because you not only have pistols, but you also have extra utility. You make sure that Gratisfaction can have that AWP and a chance to actually have a go with a pistol as well. And also, if everybody's expecting you to save, if you don't, but you could do a lot of damage. Flusher only has a USP. He has actually got a worse buy than pretty much everybody over on the opposing side. That was actually something the player called Little used to do, who's now more of an analyst for the CIS thing. You have to always buy a P250 when they would win, and it used to tilt me off the face of the earth. But anyway, it doesn't seem to matter. The Mac Daddies are doing a lot. They've actually caught a few of these players fairly low, though, so maybe Gratisfaction can sneak in and try and do a bit of damage. Force a few rebuys.
Yeah. Just keep some of those weapons away. Take those Mac 10s out of the equation because next one is going to be an eco for Renegades. As many as those Mac 10s you can force a rebuy off would be perfect. Gratisfaction for now is just waiting in the apartments. And he doesn't see anything, so has to rotate down. The two remaining players are saving their setups because, well, as I said before, it's going to be a full eco, so might as well bring C-set armor into the next one. But T-side know this, and therefore Flusher and the boys have gone hunting. He's checking out his positions. Not gonna commit the whole team to it, though.
It's actually quite interesting that they don't like go a little bit more aggressive here, because maybe they're expecting a bit more to be invested into this next round, but you sort of have players that already have a lot of money and are using a Mac 10. The main way that you're going to make money is just by farming up those extra kills, so fairly interesting. We're going to see a tactical timeout called by Cloud9. Bit of a weird spot, but maybe they expect there to be a buy in the next round. That's why we're seeing the pause taken. Maybe going to try and have a bit more of a surprise factor. Or they're just trying to actually get a read, like maybe talk through what was seen. Like, okay, the player I killed, I reckon he had armor, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that's a lot of guesswork, but especially when you're going into a round where, for example, Flusher has the opportunity if he wants to buy an AWP. Now, if you know that there's an eco up against you, you don't want to do that. It's just not worth it. There's nowhere near worth the risk of actually giving an AWP over to a CT side. So it's sort of like that balance of, okay, can we calculate, did they have a purchase? If yes, okay, let's not. And well, they do actually bring in an extra AK, but they don't go for anything too hefty. So I think they've sort of gone for a little bit of a balance. Golden's still going to be just chilling in the spawn. Yeah, hasn't got any problems, so it's just going to be waiting patiently. And
it's going to pick up the bomb. Just had a chat. Flusher, always aware. There's a teammate behind him, ready for the refrag if he so needs. Set up on banana. Deep nade into the corner, and the spray away. Here comes the Mac 10, and that's going to be free money for Golden. Switches to the AK, takes the duel as well, and the whole B side cleaned up, but the round is cleaned up as well as Skittle grabs Gratisfaction. And Renegades now, after being demolished, will have their buy.
Yeah, this is where, well, basically we can see how that extra round of saving worked out. Now, in all honesty, in terms of the purchase that they come in with here, I don't mind this at all, because you sort of avoid that awkward situation of being like, okay, do I now drop down to a UMP to make sure I have all the extra utility, or do I want to just have a rifle with no nades? You just get the proper purchase, and that sectioning off of automatic is just as brutal as it gets. Not only does he have Molotov surrounding him, he also has Jacob.
Yeah, straight headshot while taking damage, while flashed. That's just a bad situation. Going even worse, and that's Another nail in the coffin as Gratisfaction wins that duel against Skadoodle. Drop down in towards the side. Gratisfaction is not covered at all by his teammate. And that's a big gaping hole in the defense. Rush is now on the bomb side. Golden has found one as well. What is this? No one is taking care of Rush.
Yeah, everything's just falling apart. I don't know how this has happened. It's gone from a 5v3 to, well, a 2v1 now as Jacob does manage one back into the side. Now, this man has been one of the star performers. Does he think this is B? Oh, you have just been completely bamboozled. Yep.
Get tricked, son.
Does he still not know? Or is he
maybe
just
he's
decided
just
to save?
But it's kind of weird, like, straight up saving in a 1v2.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake. Yeah, especially because he flashbanged into...
Yeah, no, he thought it was going to be B, and then when he came to the side, it was like, okay, I have to retake without a kit. There's not going to be any time.
Or utility. Yeah. So it's just not worth it in the end.
That's fair
unfortunate enough. Because, I'll be honest, I thought he was going to win that.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely think he would have had that because it is Jacob, and...
Yeah.
Although he hasn't had, like, any sort of crazy performances recently, he's still an absolute beast, and he's still... Well, let's put it this way. If you're sort of a Australian team and you're bringing in, like, a European guy, there has to be a pretty damn good reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jacob is a good reason.
Yeah, for shizzle. But, yeah, it's actually the comeback looking pretty good. 11-4, four rounds in a row now for Cloud9.
And economy is looking good as well. Golden is on 10k after buy. Skadoodle on 7.9. Looking real at this point. There's a real chance only 3 rounds separates them. This one is going to be one of the easier ones. Renegades taking their foot off the pedal. Skadoodle now with the first one. Jacob already taking damage as well. It's going to be very hard for Renegades to get anything out of this round.
Russia just waiting for any sort of aggressive peak to come out. Bit of a gap in the smoke, but not one that will warrant any free frags. We've pretty much just gone for this 2-2 split again on the CT side. The rifle has been handed over to Azza to try and make a little bit more of a play. Now that he has taken up the in-game leader mantle, he's another one of those players who we expect to see fragging while also making the calls. And the call that's been made here, unfortunately, is the wrong one. They've sent the gamble over towards the A site, which of course is the wrong gamble in this situation. But the right gamble would be if you head over to Betway.
That was a machine-esque plug there. And the logo came up at the same time. So very nicely done. Maybe Tom Biss,
planned, of course.
Maybe Tom Biss has a future as a Desk host. Who knows?
Oh, God.
That's a tournament I would watch.
I wouldn't.
Always nice with the confidence.
Well, no, I can't watch it. I'm there.
That's true.
Yeah, got you there, haven't I? The worrying thing here is, although for the CT side, okay, they save all the Kevlar, you get that rifle in play. Yeah. 5 players alive.
5 players alive. Already a strong economy on the T side.
They're
pretty close to tying the game up as well. And once again, like, Cloud9, the current iteration, just like we saw Luminosity in the game before this, very momentum-based. If you allow Flushy to start rolling, if you allow Automatic to get some more frags get in on the server, Golden is on 19 top fracking in-game leader, then you're going to be in trouble. And now they have the momentum. They have the money as well. If they can get Skadoodle and Automatic just a tiny tad higher, a little bit of more frags on them, this is going to be a hard game to win for Renegades, even though they won that first half 11-4.
Yeah, they've got to try and crush what is a mighty economy from this T side. No AWP for the T's, but Gratisfaction has got his in play, and he was pretty damn good on the T side. Jacob actually going to be punished for a crazy push through the Molotov in towards that B banana spot. Well, T's not done just yet. They're going to try and challenge into middle as well, using their utility to try and clear out all of these angles. Make sure there's nobody in the cubby. Gratisfaction is going to go peeking, but he just misses the timing. Azza not willing to take the risk, and has to be careful going back in here. Gets a little bit lucky because Rush peeks away. I'm interested by the fact that his teammate, in the form of Automatic, just left him.
Exactly. That's hence the oh no. It's always such a hard situation when you take top mid control and you're in that like kind of crossfire setup, but a call comes in and a rotation has to come, but the last player is not really on point with the rotation, so he's kind of still sat in a position where he, in the back of his mind, thinks he's in a crossfire setup, but his teammate has already rotated away, and that's why communication always is so important. Just making sure that you know constantly where your teammates are, what the plan is. Satisfaction with the close range, picks up one. That's Flusher gone down. JKS now on the fountain. Will be picked up. Satisfaction on the back of this on Coffins. Low time. Just very close to hitting the no-scope. Not the second one either. And now Golden will hold the smoke. 2v3 post-plant.
Yeah, not willing to try and take that fight. Satisfaction looking around the corner. He's pre-fired. Golden picks off a first, but he can't do anything else. Skadoodle almost with the transition, but, well, almost doesn't win you anything. It's going to be 12-9. Renegades finally bounce back onto the board, but the worrying thing for me, at least risk, is the cost that came with it. One man survives, and just look at that bank. Is Golden in more senses than one. As even after he purchased up his AK, he's still got around $11,000 in the bank.
They can drop weapons around so they can get a full buy here despite surviving with only one player Renegades. But if they lose this one, apart from Gratisfaction and the 1,100 on him and JKS, the rest of the team, they're going to be in a full eco. Because now they just reset the loss bonus by winning that round. But JKM pushes out Banana, picks up the first one. That's Flusher taking out the main spearhead, and Nade drops down Golden, and Automatic to low HP as well. Bottom Banana control now taken by the CT side, but Golden through the smoke. That has to have been through the smoke. Not expected.
Yeah, what was a dicey situation quickly swings back into the favor of Cloud9. 4v4 normally favors that T side, as you do see the rotations a little bit more thin from the CT side. You can already see that it's somewhat abandoning this B site with JKS just playing from the CT spawn. However, it seems to be the right call to make at the moment. Gratisfaction with the aggression will catch one, but he doesn't expect Automatic to be around, but he gets him through the box. Liaz with another to finish off, and Golden just going to go running in towards this B site. Maybe wants to try and make a little bit of extra money off the back of a bomb plant. The problem is JKS is just waiting behind that smoke. A push through here will surely be instant death. And it will be, in fact. 13-9 money can't always buy you everything. And Cloud9 need it to buy him some time. They are running out of rounds.
And it almost looks so good for Cloud9. They were coming back into the game, but now 2 rounds in a row for Renegades, and we're out of 13-9. The bank is not broken yet, but Cloud9 is getting dangerously low. Not a problem for the next buy, but the round after that. Luckily for them, they have built a bit of a loss bonus now after losing 2 rounds. So when they eventually hit 0, they're going to have a decent enough loss bonus to buy up. Nonetheless, if they get some frags or bomb plant.
Oh, much faster play this time. The wraparound attempting to come in. Now, the problem for the CT side is they have absolutely no idea what portion of the map Cloud9 have decided to take. They could have attempted to wrap round. That's why Gratisfaction is actually switching his gaze in towards the CT spawn. But the fact is they haven't. They're gambling back towards this short spot. The problem is there's 2 players in the pit. This is a pretty much perfect setup. However, the flashbang is perfect, and they get both entries. Rush both kills into the site. Gratisfaction can't find anything on the cross. CT side, they've got to save.
Back and forth this game. Cloud9 dominate for a plethora of rounds, and then Renegades bounce back with 2 quick ones. But now Cloud9 double entry by Rush, and that's what we need him to be. He can be that very specific entry fragger who can open up sites, create space, give you opportunity to win rounds. And he's done so in this one specifically. And we were talking about that, like on paper, looking good setup. 1 player in pit, 1 player up towards the balcony, but didn't work out. Rush won both those duel. Yeah.
The flashbangs were excellent because it left the player in pit blind. So the player up on the balcony was just completely screwed. Had too many players to look at. I don't know if he was blind as well. But either way, by the time Azza was actually able to peek out from the pit, it was over.
Yeah.
There was absolutely nothing he could do. So very nice flashbang. Great entries from Rush. More of what we want to see from Cloud9. And that's the thing that is infuriating about this side at the moment, is that there's definite like potential. They've got a good in-game leader. They've got some star players. I genuinely just think that the kick that they really need is to get in an official 5th player. Someone who is willing to grind. I would love it to be like a youngster. Just someone who just has that pure passion to get everybody rolling again, because those are the sort of players that ultimately can build a side back up. Somebody who just has that sheer passion to win themselves a tournament, and even get some of the old dogs maybe pumped a little bit more. Which, well, if you can get Flusher anywhere near his best,
yeah, then you're on major winning.
Oh, okay, Liaz and Jacob looking to try and shut this down, but Golden not giving up without a fight. He definitely is trying to lead by example at the moment as he finds a couple of kills back into the round, but it seems to be the case a lot of the time. They're fighting back into the round.
Yeah. He's having a sick game, but he needs the rest of the team to join in. Some satisfaction with the AWP. 15-11 so far. 2 players left on this T side. As Renegades looking to snatch 14. Azza with a deep flashbang, but Golden is setting up for the fake onto Banana. Flush is still trying to edge out of apartments, but there's no one here.
Wait, it worked?
Yep, they're basically setting Flush up to win a 1v1. He sprays to the smoke, but doesn't get the frag initially. Can smoke up now. No satisfaction is there. Oh, he didn't spot him. He's gone for the plant.
This is messy, and the problem is the rotation's already come back in. Still, though,
but he makes
Flusher
it work.
Through the wall will be able to take the pick, but there's only 15 seconds left. They need to clear this angle, and Gratisfaction up close, using that orb like a shotgun, and he finds both kills as well. Great hold on the site, 14 and 10. He shouldn't have got away with that.
Liaz with the spray down in middle, and then Golden answering back seconds after, but Gratisfaction's all double frag in the end for him.
That wasn't an AWP, that was a Nova. You just missed, you saw it wrong, because the way he played with it was not like an AWP.
No, it was definitely like a close range shotgun. It looked like a different game, to be honest. It wasn't even Counter-Strike. Golden, you can see it in his scoreline. Fragging in-game lead at 24-17. As you said before, trying to lead by example, trying to show the way. Renegades on 14. They're in the first map in this best of 2.
The thing is, I feel like this is another one of those almost Pronex scenarios where if you ever see Pronex at the top of the board, you can normally assume that his team was losing. Just because if the rest of them aren't fragging, like in this case, okay, he's got 24 kills, so maybe there'd be a chance, but the fact is if everybody else was stepping up as well, it'd be a more dominant performance, so yeah, it's not going too well. JKS with an opportunity to shut this down. He's been pretty good at anchoring this B site, which has been more of a problem so far for the T side to try and execute into. Smoke's going to be going down. Jacob up above.
Oh, nice by Golden.
Spot,
He sneaks in.
well, eventually he does and gets the double as they cross towards the site. The spray through will not find anything, but it's too little too late for the T's. They're left down into a horrible position, and JKS, he's trying to deny the plant. Flusher just able to dodge the bullets, but he can't dodge the AWP in automatic. Well, he wants to be the AWPer for this side, but he has to do it in a 1v5 scenario. Only 4 of them left as he's picked off the first, but they dual peek. Smart stuff from Renegades. Make that look far easier than it could have been. And they're going to take themselves another round. Now, it's been buy after buy after buy for Cloud9, but I think at the moment it's looking more like goodbye.
Okay, that's very hard to come out of the back of, but yeah, like Renegades want another thing in this situation, right? The boost onto Flowers. It's such a hard position to kind of counter because you kind of get one player in bathtub and he tries to push in and get the coffin's position, but the second he dies, that's also the timing the second player rushes in. That means that they can't really get the information across quick enough. So 2 players straight up die to that as Gratisfaction and JKS both open up here. Let's leave that point for a second. It was a quick round coming in for Cloud9. At least a quick start. An automatic has kicked it into another gear.
Bombs in spawn.
Yeah, that's the question.
But they're still managing to actually find the frags. The fact is, though, they might actually get sectioned off from the bomb. Even if they manage to get this kill onto Azza, which they should,
but
although...
they are not going to spot the bomb that far down.
Yeah, it's just a question of... This is such a weird round. Rush is now fighting to go get the bomb. I'm pretty sure the CTs have absolutely no idea why he's down there, other than cutting off rotations. JKS should get this kill for free, and now Skadoodle's in pit without the bomb.
But the CCs have no idea the bomb is still in T-spawn.
Yeah. So now he gets this kill and has to go all the way back down. Now, the question is, is JKS going to rotate? He is. He's going back towards the A site.
And Skadoodle has no idea what's going on right now.
This is just...
Because
I have no idea what's going on right now.
He thinks that JKS knows the bomb is dropped. Or at least he has to clear the angles.
And the time doesn't really allow for that. Counting down on the clock. He's got to go running for it now.
Yeah.
20 seconds left to make his way. He's got to choose a site. Now, the question is, whichever one he really chooses
this is going to get very, very close.
It depends if it's actually worked out from JKS. Now, he's not going to be able to catch him on the cross. He will have time for the plant, although he's not going to be able to check anything. So it is just going to be with the last second. That was literally it. It's 3.5 seconds to plant the bomb. Yeah. You can see it says 1 on the clock, and now JKS is going to go rotating in. Finally, both players will have a rough idea of where the opponent is. Skadoodle ready and waiting, and he will actually win the battle. That is one of the most confusing rounds of Counter-Strike I have ever witnessed, and I had the map and all of the POVs.
That was some next level stuff. And it wasn't really next level. Like,
no, because no one knew what they were doing.
It wasn't good next level, but it was... Yeah. I haven't really seen that in a long time.
That was messier than my bedroom.
All right. Messier than the Spy right now. For Renegades. Not a lot of control in this. Just a couple of pistols. And it's going to be the push onto Banana to take control. Skadoodle. On the opposite side of things with a player behind him as well. Knows that, well, the CT side, they can't have much investment, so might as well just take this control. Top mid control, Banana control, apartments control, already taken by the T side. And they know they can bully the opponent. And there's no way with this kind of buy. There's just no way. And this is, once again, coming back to the ecos. Like... I know it sounds really, really weird because this round is technically boring, but in my weird old man head, this is how CS should be. Like it should just have these kind of rounds.
Oh no, I think it definitely should. But just the way you said it, it's like this is how it should be. I want to watch one team just get absolutely steamrolled by another team.
I don't know.
That's how it should be. Then again, you are Danish. Yeah. You probably are enjoying just Astralis doing that to absolutely everybody. So, yes, 2-0. Nice. And I'm just sat there like, what about good games risk? No, Danish win.
Actually, to be honest, I casted both the major and the recent Blast tournament on Danish TV. And it was such a weird experience casting that major because, of course, we were happy because it was on Danish TV and it was... Astralis and everything.
Also, you got to go home early because it was finished so fast.
But the match was so underwhelming. And even though I was happy for Astralis, I was kind of like, please, can we just have a good game? But no. Then, of course, at the next tournament, we actually had a decent final. So.
Well, I was with my girlfriend at the London Major. She is Ukrainian. So, yeah, wasn't the happiest. Either way, Flusher. Nice couple of entries. He has woken up at an important time. Although... They have B, the bomb looking fairly hesitant to actually go in towards the site. The rest of the players still holding in towards A.
Yeah, just searching for the frags. They want to make sure that this, like, these weapons aren't safe because they know the money situation for Renegades is really, really tight. And the money situation for Cloud9 allows him to at least throw away, in quotation marks, 1 or 2 of these AKs. As long as they survive with 3 players, it's fine. So they would rather... basically like kill off 2 of their own players to take down 3 of the CT players because it's going to have such a bigger impact economy-wise. And that's why they're encroaching on this area right now. First one being taken out. Asa and the boys, and the boy, know that they're being pushed now. Question is, do they push on now? Even though there's only 3 players alive, they will, and they will be successful. They trade 3 kills for 2 deaths, and that's exactly what Cloud9 want in this scenario. Look at the money right now. There's barely enough money to get a P250 and a flashbang. That means Cloud9, unless something insane happens, they're going to be on 14, and that last buy is going to decide if we go 15-15 or 16-14.
Yeah, unless something insane happens for the second time today.
Yeah.
Which we really are playing the odds at that point. Of course, you can check out all of the odds over at Betway.
Damn.
There you go. 2 for 1. That's me
plugs.
done now. all the other plugs are yours.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I didn't get the list of deliverables, but I'll try to get it done.
But it is going to be all the rounds risk. Every single one of them, unless Renegades do something ridiculous, and I don't believe. Even though Az's position is fairly tasty, the fact is they've just pushed all the way in towards the B side. And although they don't have the bomb, it doesn't really matter. The round is done. There's only 1 man left. It's Jacob. He's got a USP. Other than that, he is completely nude. Nothing hanging off of his belt. And it is going to be 15-14. Cloud9. They lost 10 rounds in a row over on their CT side. They went from 4-1 up to 11-4 down. They now sit at 15-14. They're still at the wrong end of that scoreline for their liking. But if they can take this round away, use that momentum to their advantage, we hit that sweet spot of overtime.
We've gone all the way down the road. The road to Odense, one of the main sponsors for this tournament as well. Check
I can't
them
say
out.
that one, so that's not fair.
Odense, a great city. Been there multiple times. And actually really looking forward to bringing a lot of technology and gaming and esports and robot technology, all that stuff to the city when the ESL Pro League finals come to Sparkassen Foon Arena. Buy tickets now. There we go. Now back to the game.
Well, Flusher once again has managed to find the opening for the T side. They are looking to bring us to overtime. Well, a very passive setup at the moment from the CT side. Sat right back into the sights.
Once again, the 2-2 split.
Yeah, and not looking to really take any initiative. They'll have absolutely no information about where these pushes are going to be coming in.
And you can also see both teams are very, very passive right now. No one wants to give an inch. They know it's the last round of ordinary time. Counter Molotov, 40 seconds to go. Rotation should be coming in from Asa, who also has a Molotov to throw in towards Arch, but he'll not be allowed. It's going to be the wraparound from the T side unless Asa can come in with the timing. He won't. That means Gratisfaction has to do it all on his own. Automatic opens, and now it has to be Asa. He has to come in and make the difference. If Lias cannot hold this on his own, Asa picks up one, Lias with one as well. And another one from Asa. The flank works out. Molotov into the site. 2 players still alive from Cloud9.
They've got so much left to do, though. Molotov's going to be raining in. I think Golden's going to be fine in that corner. So they have to try and clear him, and Asa does it manually. Him and Liaz have just turned this and actually given themselves the victory right at the depths. James Banks will be crying upstairs. He was praying for overtime. He wanted some more time to do some bench presses or whatever he does up there. Either way, it is going to be Renegades taking the victory. Of course, we now do only head off to a break, though, so James still actually does have some time to work on his chest.
I really like the way that As actually played that, because he's playing a very high-risk, high-reward game with not pushing in directly and throwing that Molotov to hold off, but it pays off, and the good boys of Renegades, they will take it 16-14 as we do see some highlights here from the game. And we're going to be back with map number 2 of this series just after this break.